The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTRTV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast.
The 44 gets loose off of corner number 4. It's going to be a photo finish to the line in the grass, but the 44 will hang on for the win. Here he comes with the crossover. Fellison to the inside. Is it going to be a Las Vegas photo finish? They touch. They wreck. Who's going to get it? Upside down. Who's going to get it?
Fellison gets it.
Ooh, by himself. Now he has the 72 of O'Connor. It's going to be a 2v2 race to the checkers. 2 up top, 2 to the bottom. It's going to be Ingram. It's going to be Rainville. Who's going to get it at the stripe? Photo finish. It's going to be Rainville. Is there enough? This is going to be a close finish. What is going to happen? Is there enough fuel to get him around 2 more corners? He didn't have enough. The final corner. There goes Zach Nichols. Sarah ran out with 3 corners to go, and Zach Nichols will win here at Mosport. And is he going to go for the last-ditch effort? Is he going to use the back bumper? What will Devin Sarah do? We head into corner number 3. He's going to sail it on in there. Does he get to the bumper? He turns him. He turns him for the win. He wrecks him. We saw how Ruddy, is that a word? Ruddy?
I don't know, just go with it.
All right, we'll go with it. We've seen how Ruddy turn 3 is getting. And
so these guys, once again, doubled up, stacked up, and ready to go back green flag racing here behind the iRacing.com Facebook pace car.
Don't know where that came from, but we'll let it slide.
What was I thinking?
Nashville, Tennessee. It's known as the country music capital of the world as it houses the famous Grand Ole Opry. It also has housed the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Originally built in 1904 as a horseless carriage and motorcycle facility, the fairgrounds was converted into a NASCAR venue in 1959 and has been one of the pinnacle short tracks in the country ever since. Tonight, the iRacing Sprint Car Cup takes their turn to see who will be the master at the Music City. Giving you the calls tonight's going to be myself, Corey Silva, and I got my buddy Tyler Orn here in the booth with us for it'll be 45 laps here tonight of week 6 of the iRacing Sprint Car Cup. And well, welcome Tyler to the Nashville Speedway, and for the first time in our existence covering these guys, we actually have a split night here on Strength of Field night. So this is the top of the top drivers in the Sprint Cup community.
Yes, Corey, it's always great to be up here with you in the booth, and you're right, this is a very historic moment for our broadcasting career because I think this is the first time the Sprint Car Cup series has split in quite some time. And, you know, this is a high-speed short track. You can really carry a lot of momentum in the turns, 18 degrees specifically in the turns. And I think we're going to see a great event tonight. This really feels like a sprint race to me because it's only 45 laps. And as you can see, the qualifying times are in the 16-second mark.
Yes, they are. And we have a name at the top of the board that we haven't seen thus far, Ryan Nardone. Well, just as I say that, Mitch Drudowski pretty much is going to match his lap there, so the difference would have been down into the 1,000th separating them. But as we said, 29, just at the cusp, 28 drivers is what constitutes a split here on iRacing, where you can fit 28 drivers into a race. If you get more than that, you'll get divvied up based on your skill level. So with drivers in this split, average I rating, we have Sellers at over 6,000. We have many drivers. Drudowski near 6,000. Love in the high, mid 5,000s in, so on. So not just some of the best sprint racers in the series, some of the highest I ratings you'll see on the service. And just as that happens, we already are headed to the grid of the abbreviated practice session because everybody already ran their qualifying lap. So we're going to get you down to the starting lineup tonight and give you the PTRTV grid here at the Nashville Speedway. On the pole with a lap time of 16.17 is Ryan Sellers. Congratulations to him on that lap. Mitch Drunowski on the outside of the front row. In position number 3, we find Ryan Nardone. He's a newcomer to at least the broadcasted race. And Derek Love, last week's winner, he'll roll off in 4th. In 5th, Gwendolyn Old. Haven't seen her in a few weeks. We'll see what she can do here at the Music City. And Jeffrey Stanton still waiting for his first broadcasted win. Cody Moorcraft in 7th. Justin Laxton in 8th. Two, again, newcomers to the Tuesday Night Brigade, as Kyle Meyer and Dan Smith, series regular, in the 10th spot. Tyler.
11th off the grid tonight is number 4 of Chad Miller. To his outside, the number 10 of Austin Rich Miller, starting 12th. In 13th, it's the 12 of James Folds. In 14th, it's the 8 of Steele Langford. And rounding out the field tonight in 15th position, it's the 14 of Michael Clement.
Yep, so that is your 15 drivers here in top split iRacing Sprint Car Cup here tonight. The weather conditions at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, 80 degrees with an 83-degree track temp, about an 8-mile-an-hour west wind, humidity right around 50 degrees. I don't think the weather will be anything that we will be concerned about this evening as the pace car does roll off. We have our track statistics on the bottom of the screen right here. You can see the 1904 construction date. And something that most people don't know, this track actually was originally built when it's, half-mile over configuration, actually built with 35 degrees of banking. It wasn't downgraded to the current 18-degree banking until about the mid-70s. So interesting little tidbit there.
Yeah, they said the speeds were way too fast in the turns, and I would imagine this track back in the 70s was more like traditional Bristol with its high banking, but that would be quite a sight to see today.
Yeah, the longer straightaways, and a little bit, it's slightly bigger than Bristol at 0.596 miles, longer straightaways, tighter turns, so kind of having those big high bank corners with cars that probably had about 1/5 of the safety components to them. Can imagine that being a little bit risky of a situation. But do want to welcome everybody to PTR TV for tonight's Strength of Field broadcast of the iRacing Sprint Car Cup. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't. We're at 666 at the race start, so we need a subscriber. I don't want to have 666 subscribers, so if you haven't, please consider that as the pace car is in. Ryan Nardone is going to be in charge of the field, and we wait on the loud pedal. Green flag in the air.
And what a great start by Ryan Sellers. Shot out of there right like out of a cannon. Drunowski second, few car lengths behind, and then Derek Love in third.
Yeah, I don't know why I gave credit there to Nardone as the pole sitter. Sellers there, Ryan up front, but the Mitch Drunowski in the middle. Do you remember Drunowski's had a couple wins on our broadcasted races this season? So 1, 2, 3, 4, everybody, actually pretty much the whole field back to single file formation here. And something we'll look out for, Tyler, tonight is the line here at Nashville with the bumps and the kind of the whoops that this track almost has. Definitely kind of makes you change your line around, kind of using that second lane a lot of the time.
Yeah, you can tell these drivers are not running right towards the bottom. It's a little too bumpy and not the optimum place to be, but there's bumpiness all over this track, and these drivers are going to have to jostle for position, change their lane a little bit, and run towards that middle groove.
On board here with the 2 machine of Mitch Drunowski. You can see that 27 of Derek Love just kind of looking all around here, trying to see what he can do. So it is kind of one of those harder tracks to pass on for that exact reason. It's very hard to wrap that yellow line just due to the bumps and kind of just the awkward nature, the shape of the racetrack. So similar to almost a Thompson, I think that'd be a good reference point to how this place races.
And you can tell Derek Love is peaking a bit more to the inside compared to Drunowski, but just does not have quite the run coming off the turn. We'll see with the tire wear and the fuel burns off if that might change a bit. But so far, fairly strung out.
Just going back just a little bit, Gwendolyn Old. She did win one of the Sunday races a few weeks ago. I fail to remember off the top of my head which week it was, but I remember seeing that alert. So that 13 machine of Gwendolyn Old registered, well, actually it is number 13 in the split as well. She does have Justin Laxton behind her, so a little bit wiggly there off of 2. Laxton's going to look to the outside. Maybe he's going to try to do a little bit of a crossover move on Old. Looking to the inside, entering 1. We'll see if he can do anything with it.
Yeah, he's got the position, but you can just tell coming off the turn, lost it. You know, it is really difficult to drive these cars in any situation. With the bumpiness and the weird transitions in these turns, it's very perilous for these drivers coming off of exit.
Yes, it is. And as you said, with the fuel load starts to change the balance of these machines, we'll see if indeed it does change the line around or the approach that these drivers do take. We have already had one driver, James Folds, in the number 12 machine. I don't think he took to the grid at all, so do have 14 drivers on the track right now. What we'll do is to give you a perspective of who is fast right now. We'll switch the ticker over from our gaps to our lap times. See, last time by, Drunowski actually almost 2/10 faster than Sellers, so we'll see if that trend continues. Trying to see who else is fast. Looking at the laps, actually, Sellers was the slowest in the top 5 last time by, interestingly enough, as it looks like Stanton going for position.
It's hard to tell. You see Stanton going to the inside there, trying to make the pass on Love. Just, again, coming off of exit, doesn't quite have it yet, but, maybe he's trying to take a little bit of time, easy on his tires. One of my keys for tonight's race was keeping your car clean, and again, a great battle for third. But I think with the less amount of cars we have in this particular race with the split, it's still a great battle for third place going into 3. That might keep this race more clean and green, Corey.
Yes, it was. We were talking about that, in our pre-race, Tyler, as we didn't know if we wanted the race to split with the fields we have now, or if we kind of wanted that one big 29, 28 car grid. And I think we're still kind of indecisive over it, as a matter of fact, is Stanton really putting some effort into that pass on on Love. And as this happens, they are losing a significant amount of time to the leaders.
There.
Whoa,
yeah.
Dive in.
Yeah, that was a very odd looking thing that happened there going into 3. I thought Love had a mechanical issue of some sort, but here he comes surging back on the outside, side by side, going into turn number 3. Some great racing right here.
Well, big wiggle there on the outside. I think that's going to give Stanton the clearance that he needs, and now Love is going to have to deal with Nardone. The number 9, he's registered as the number 9 machine, but on his paint scheme, I believe he's the number 28. So now Love is going to have to try and hang on up there. But now, change of events, that's Justin Laxton, that number 53 painted car. I think he's going to try to get Nardone now, who's pinned to the bottom.
And Gwendolyn Old's right behind him. She's looking to the outside now, trying to make a pass.
It's one of those situations where you try to make a pass. You see this a lot on restrictor plate tracks on the NASCAR side, where you try to make a pass, and then if you don't clear it, it backfires, and you end up losing spots trying to gain spots.
Yeah, this is definitely a momentum-based track. With the banking, it's just enough to where you can really carry a lot of speed into the turn. I think they're going to hit about, 135, 140 going into the turn. Yeah, 145 by Drunowski going into 3, but you lose some miles per hour, but you can pick it right back up on exit. And it does resemble a little bit of restrictor plate style in that respect.
Yeah, it's all about managing your momentum, figuring out which line is going to be fast. Whoa! We have Dan Smith hits the wheel of
and
Nardone.
That brings out a caution.
And acrobatics rolling down the banking there. First caution of the event. So we will go to our PTRTV replay in just a moment here and try to see what happened to him. Just waiting for things to queue up here on the back end. All right, there we go. I just had to wait for something to load for me there. Try to see what happened to Dan Smith. Kind of caught it live, but we'll see it here from our We'll go to our chopper cam if we can. See, he just kind of hit the left rear of Nardone, and that just sent his car down the track out to the outside wall and did a little bit of a flip into the middle of the track. Luckily, everybody was able to avoid him.
Yeah, just pushing a little bit too hard there. I don't think Nardone really had much damage out of that. Smith did flip back over. He went into the pits, but once you flip, I'm not sure if he's going to have a chance to really come back out and be competitive.
I mean, we've seen many times this season where guys have gone upside down. Haven't quite seen instances of them coming upside down and recovering. It all kind of depends on what you've done to the suspension. Obviously, being an open wheel vehicle, they aren't going to deal with much contact. He did take a hard lick to the outside wall even before the barrel roll.
I was just getting ready to say before that caution came out, Corey, that we were having a very clean and fast race. We're already on lap 22 of 45, so about halfway there. And, again, this is the top split, so this is, in theory, the best drivers and hopefully the cleanest. And we'll see if it stays like that for the second half of this race.
Yes, indeed. As remember, caution laps do not count, so that is the reason why we do turn our ticker off on the cautions, because it does kind of get a little wonky as some drivers pit, but they're not being counted, and iRacing's kind of figuring some stuff out on the back end. So we'll wait for scoring to update once laps start counting. Which they will as the pace car is pulling in. We will take lap number 23 at the stripe. Sellers in command of your field. Dronowski on his rear. Green flag back in the air. We're back under green.
Sellers, once again, has a great restart. About 3-4 car gap on our second place driver, Dronowski. But Jeffrey Stanton right behind him, trying a different line. Great battle for fourth and fifth right now between Love and Owen and a couple other drivers mixed in there as well. I think Laxton.
Yeah, almost a little bit of contact there with Love on that inside of Laxton. Again, Laxton doing a great job. We haven't seen him in the broadcasted races, but so far in his first view of us, he's doing quite well as he's in that top 5. We'll see if he can actually close in on Stanton for the podium finish, but he does have about a half second to go there. And up front, Sellers up by about a quarter of a second. Dronowski doing a pretty good job to stay with him.
And Stanton is trying a much higher line than these other drivers. I just saw it going into 3 and 4 and a little bit into 1 and 2. He is, I don't know if he's trying to put down some more rubber up high or just try something different than the drivers in front of him, but he is really moving all over this track.
Yeah, Stanton is known for doing that. He is definitely known for doing what he can to find some grip where there's not some available, naturally. We've seen him at IRP. We've seen him at Thompson, just, trying different things. And you could see him just kind of trying to go higher, trying to get that straight shot off, get a little bit more run down the straightaways. And I think it might work this time by, and he's going to get that top. Dronowski did give him the lane.
Yep, they're side by side going down the backstretch. He's got it. That was a very impressive move by him. Had such a big run coming off the top. Just blasted by him. Yeah,
that was just absolute textbook, if I say so myself there. So now whether he can get to Sellers and whether Sellers gives him that opportunity, well, that's a completely separate question right there. Again, we've seen Stanton have so many good runs. We've seen him lead a lot of laps, but at least on the Tuesday side, we haven't seen him close the deal and finish one of them off. So we'll see if indeed maybe tonight's the night. But, Sellers isn't going to go without a fight, and he does have a half second to go.
Stanton's got to move and move fast because we're already coming on lap 32 of 45. So not that many laps left in this one.
Half a tenth. Last time by, do half a tenth times 14. That equals probably close to a half second. I'm not a mathematician on the fly. This time by, Sellers actually had him by about a couple hundredths of a second. So kind of teetering there. As we go a little bit further back in the field, we have Kyle Meyer. I believe he is, again, all the numbers here are jumbled up, folks. It's a little bit different. Hard to tell. 88 machine, that is Meyer on the bottom. He does have Gwendolyn Old to his outside. This is for about 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, essentially.
Yeah, there's a hornet's nest back there. You also got Ryan Nardone, Austin Rich Miller, I think on the tail end of that pack. Some great battles throughout this field.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Austin Rich Miller in the broadcast too much yet. Remember, he's had a lot of good runs this season. Currently not, his best showing, but, still hanging on to the end of the top 10 right now is Old trying that outside line on Meyer. And looks like she's going to get the run there. Meyer got a little bit loose off of 4 to the inside.
Yeah, Meyer's really hitting that apron. I've noticed it both in 1 and 3. I think that upset his car just a little bit and lets Old power right past him on the outside. And now he's got even more competition from Austin Rich Miller.
Yeah, Nardone to his outside right now.
Yeah.
And Miller is going to try to fill the gap in. Meanwhile, up front, Sellers is now losing that lead at a slightly quicker rate. It was a half second. Now it's down to about a third of a second. They both seem to get loose off of 4 that time by, but it looks like Stanton got looser, and it cost him some of that gap.
Yeah, this is a very unusual race for this series. The lack of cautions, the shorter lap count, and the higher speeds, I think, is really making this race just blast on by. And if you're someone who's better at, I think, conserving tires and everything else that comes along with the car, this maybe isn't the best race for you, because this is going to be over in just a few more minutes at this rate. But Stanton, I think he's losing a little bit of ground now on Sellers.
Yeah, I think he got those rear tires a little bit angry, and now they are starting to rebel against him because he had that lead down to a third of a second. We didn't see quite what the mistake was, but now the lead up to about 0.7 of a second. So unless he was just cooling them down for one more charge, I think it's going to take a caution flag to change the result of this one. As I think that battle still is going on in the realm of Kyle Meyer and Gwendolyn Old. Now Meyer going back underneath Old here as they're flip-flopping aggressively for that 6th spot.
It's about a dead heat that time around, Corey, and they're still side by side. It looks like one, gets the advantage on exit, then the other one gains it on entry, and, they're just going back and forth. Some great racing tonight. Although Meyer got really loose, lost a lot of ground there, hit that apron. Yeah, and that allowed Rich Miller to get that 7th spot. So again, great racing here at Nashville. But as we go back up front, as this race is in its waning stages, coming to 2 laps to go. Well, we are on 2 laps to go, as a matter of fact, coming to the white flag already. Now Sellers has that lead. It was down to 0.3 of a second. We thought Stanton was going to have a shot at it, but here we are about 3/4 of a second taking the white. Yep, 1 more lap to go. Stanton isn't really anywhere near him.
Yep, so Music City, the guitars, the Grand Ole Opry, and tonight it's going to be the iRacing Sprint Car Cup. Winner goes to Ryan Sellers.
And I believe Sellers led every single lap along with the pole position. So, I mean, again, that was just a dominant performance. I thought Stanton might have something for him there. We had about 20 laps to go, but Sellers just pulled it back out.
Yes, he did. My ticker says 44 laps. I don't know who led the last one, but maybe it'll just update later. But regardless of such, again, great performance by Sellers. Again, getting yet another broadcasted win. So let's go ahead and give you the final results here on screen at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Obviously, with the victory here tonight, Sellers by just over 1 second over Jeffrey Stanton, who did obviously get that 2nd spot on the podium. Mitch Drunowski, a solid 3rd place effort here tonight. Derek Love 4th, Justin Laxton with the 5th, Gwendolyn Old in 6th, and we had Austin Rich Miller in 7th, Ryan Nardone in 8th, Kyle Meyer and Michael Clement rounding out your top 10.
In 11th tonight, it's the 8 of Steele Langford to his outside in 12th, the 4 of Chad Miller. The last car on the lead lap is the number 15 car of Cody Moorcraft, who finished 13th. Poor Dan Smith, involved in that one incident we had that brought out the caution, ended up 14th, 26 laps down. And then James Folds was not able to grid tonight and ended up 15th in last place.
He did. So now we will try to find these guys for our post-race show. here on PTRTV. So I think I can grab our race winner here tonight of Ryan Sellers. You got a copy, brother?
Yes, sir.
All right, that was an absolute flyer of a race. All of a sudden, like 15 minutes and it's already over. But you basically, I think you led every single lap here tonight. Stanton definitely made that charge, got to about 3/10 of you. What was your thoughts as he kind of got to within striking range there at the end?
I saw Mitch come in the whole race, and I just kind of paced myself and knew that if Jeff was going to try to charge up there, that I would have some tire and stuff left for him, and ultimately ended up working out. And like you said, I led every lap and had a second gap on Jeff there, and just glad to get the monkey off my back for Tuesdays. I've had real crap Tuesdays. I think the last 3 weeks, I stepped on myself one night and then got wrecked with my teammate, and just glad to finish one tonight.
Yeah, I think it was Lanier where you kind of had that self-spin in the backstretch wall about half a lap into it. Definitely unlike you, but for the first time, us covering this and kind of what your thought process, what your guys' thoughts are, we had our first split night. We had it hovering right at that split amount. Now, as a driver, do you prefer these shorter fields with the top talent, or do you kind of prefer those full-fledged, 20, 25 car grids?
I mean, points-wise, I like the splits, but race-wise, honestly, I would have rather had everybody in one race, and it would have been a heck of a race, passing 28 people, or trying to lap the back markers and stuff. It would have been fun, and I think there's a lot of talent that's in the second split right now that obviously I think deserves to be up here in the first split. So I think, we should maybe look at opening the split numbers for next year and seeing if we can get 30-car fields.
Yeah, we were just waiting, and we were talking about it. Is someone going to bail and get it under the split number? But it didn't happen. But either way, getting that monkey off your back, you said victory lane here tonight. Who do you want to give a shout out to?
DRR Speedworks, Dan Smith, Rich Foreman, Derek Love, Bill Guest is in there with us tonight. Them two are still racing. So Leary Shock Technology, you guys for broadcasting, and thanks for covering the sprint cars and giving us the exposure we need, because obviously you guys are doing good work and our car counts just keep going up.
Well, we're glad to hear that, and we have our chat saying they're only about 25 on the other side, so that just shows that. But congrats again, and maybe we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.
All right, Corey, well, I'm down here with our runner-up driver tonight, the number 5 of Jeffrey Stanton. And Jeffrey, you had a heck of a performance tonight. Started 6th, ended up 2nd. How was it out there? Did you have your car set up more for a long run versus qualifying?
Yeah, I usually try to focus on race more than qualifying, in all honesty. It's kind of trickier. It was a little bit earlier than what we've ran here in the past, so it made it pretty interesting.
Yeah, do you think the fact that we had a split tonight with less cars in the field, maybe made the strategies a little bit different with a lack of cautions, and really, I mean, this race went by so fast, took us maybe 20 minutes to do it at most.
I mean, yeah, to a point. I mean, it's still the same strategy, still the same amount of laps. I mean, the biggest thing is, with more yellows, the heat cycles on the tires can make it a little bit tighter on the restarts and change the handling of the car.
And we noticed that you're trying a much higher line there for a while. You got a very nice pass, I believe, on Dranowski to the outside, and you were trying different grooves. Anything in particular you were doing to try and catch up to Sellers in that last 15-20 laps?
Yeah, I was just running the outside. I love the outside here, so I think everyone knows that here. So yeah, it's just running what I was comfortable with.
All right. Well, anyone you'd like to thank tonight?
Yep, I'd like to thank Napa Rockwell, y'all for broadcasting, and everyone else.
All right, Jeffrey. Well, congratulations on your runner-up finish. Great run.
Thank you, and thank you for broadcasting.
All right, now I've caught up with our third-place finisher, Mitch Dranowski. You got me, man?
Yep.
All right, you started on the outside of the front row, and you kind of sat there for a while. Sellers was in his own zip code, and then you had a good battle with Stanton, unfortunately not in your favor, but you still got a podium effort. What was it like out there for you tonight?
I'm happy with the podium. The car was pretty fast. Ryan was just really quick onto that first run. I thought maybe I would have a chance to get to him if I just hit my marks, and then I wasn't really too happy to see the yellow come out because I felt like the car was going to go away from me, and that's what ended up happening. I got a little tight after the yellow and looked like Jeffrey came alive, and once he got by me, I thought he might have something for Ryan, but just hung out in third and take a podium out of it pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. We saw that pass he did on the outside, because obviously here at Nashville, we were kind of relating it almost to a Thompson, the way that it drives, with that second lane being kind of where you want to be. What did he do? Was it that, did you need to go a little bit higher maybe, or was your car kind of set in that middle groove? Because we saw him go even higher on you, and then you kind of had to give him that door up top.
Yeah, it is kind of similar to Thompson, especially turn 2's got a really big bump down on the bottom, and that's what was kind of hurting me. When I was chasing down Sellers, or trying to at least, I thought I was a little better through 3 and 4, but when it would skip over that bump in 2, he would just kind of pull away from me a little bit. And once Jeff got to me, he was able to just get a better entry. And once he got to my outside, once I knew he was there, I had to give him the room. And with it being so bumpy on the bottom, I tried to throw it back down in there and maybe try to clear him, but he got clearing me, and just that was the end of that. Just a little too tight on entry to hold him off, and those two were really quick, so I'm happy with the podium.
Yeah, but yeah, podium. I mean, you've had your wins this season. You must be doing pretty good in the division points, so you can't complain about that. Who do you want to give a shout out to for tonight's efforts?
Shout out to you guys for doing the broadcasts, and everyone that helps me get better at the car, and everyone that's part of the series to make it fun every week.
All right. Well, congrats again, Ed, and maybe we'll be talking to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so that is our broadcast here tonight on PTRTV for the iRacing official Sprint Car Series. So I think by far the fastest race we've covered. Usually these are heading about 45 minutes. We got this over in about a half hour's time. So what are your takeaways after tonight?
Yeah, this was truly a historic moment for primetime racing in many aspects. And, Ryan Sellers back on top, as you mentioned before. Corey had a rough few weeks, but he's back in victory lane. And I said this was going to be a sprint-type race with the laps and the smaller field, but I didn't think it'd go by quite this fast. Yeah. Either way, fun race, and I won't be here probably next week, but I know you and Brandon will have a great time at South Boston. Yeah, Sobo will. I think the calamity will definitely rile up at Sobo over the course of the evening, so you'll want to stay tuned for that. Of course, subscribe to the channel, check out our website. We are filling up that calendar. A lot of content will be headed onto the channel, so make sure you don't miss any of it. And Corey